You ever play a game so damn good that when it's over, you just sit there, kind of heartbroken that it's actually finished? Like you've just been on this epic journey, met these incredible characters, and then suddenly it's done. Today, I'm sharing 15 games that'll give you that exact feeling, games that are so perfect saying goodbye to them is honestly a little rough. These are the stories that stick with you, the worlds you don't want to leave, and the characters you're not ready to let go of. So if you're ready to dive into some unforgettable experiences that'll leave you wishing they never had to end, let's get into it. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is one of those games that leaves an emotional crater by the time the credits roll. It's this beautifully crafted, hand-painted world that feels alive with every step Ori takes. The art direction alone is stunning, drawing you into a fantasy forest that's both serene and hostile, filled with creatures and obstacles that seem to have a pulse. But what makes this game truly unforgettable is the story it tells, a tale of hope, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond of friendship. You're not just playing a game, you're becoming part of a world that cares about its characters. Every interaction, every tiny detail is woven to make you feel something, whether it's joy, sorrow, or the sheer weight of loss. And as Ori faces challenges that demand everything from them, you can't help but feel every struggle too. The ending, it's gut-wrenching in the best way possible. It's the kind of ending that makes you sit in silence, just staring at the screen as you try to process it all. Ori and the Will of the Wisps doesn't just make you sad. When it's over, it leaves a piece of itself with you, a bittersweet memory that lingers long after you've put the controller down. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
Search of a metaphor. I want in.
Tell you what, let me go up there, check out.
An Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is, damn, it's one of those games that's honestly hard to let go of. You step into the shoes of Nathan Drake one last time, but right from the beginning, there's this feeling that things are different, like you're on borrowed time with an old friend. The game doesn't just throw you into non-stop action, it slows down, takes its time, gives you those little moments with Nate, Elena, Sully, characters you've been with for years now. It's like saying goodbye to family, but you don't want to admit it's happening.
Looks good.
Joe, how was it?
The game hits that perfect blend of adventure, danger, and nostalgia. I mean, it's got some of the best set pieces of the entire series, like that insane Jeep chase or climbing the clock tower, but it's more than just adrenaline pumping action. The real heart of the game is in the story, how it digs into who Nate is and the sacrifices he's made along the way. There's this theme of legacy, what you leave behind, and man, by the end you're just hit with this wave of emotions. Like there's a sense of closure that's almost painful because you don't want it to end.
Stranger. Next time you're in town, beers are on me.
I'll hold you to that.
And that final epilogue, it's bittersweet in every sense. You see Nate finally finding peace, hanging up his guns, and it's beautiful, but there's also this ache that his adventures are really truly over. Uncharted 4 doesn't just give you a story, it lets you live in it, laugh in it, feel like part of it, and when it's over, it leaves this hollow, almost sad feeling like you're missing a piece of yourself.
I'm on the verge of selling Jameson Marine.
No kidding?
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is one of those games that sneaks up on you. It's simple, quiet, and doesn't have any big explosions or epic battles. Instead, it's just heartbreakingly real. You play as these two brothers on a journey to save their father, and what's wild is how the game actually makes you control both of them at the same time. It's a bit of a mind bender at first, but it doesn't take long for it to feel like second nature, almost like the two are part of one soul. The whole game is this emotional roller coaster packed with little moments that somehow hit harder than any giant cutscene. You're solving puzzles, exploring this strange, beautiful world, but underneath all that, there's this ever-present feeling of, I don't know, dread. It's like you're being pulled along, knowing this isn't just another story about heroism or adventure, it's something way more personal, something that gets under your skin. And then that ending, man, it's gut-wrenching in a way that games rarely dare to be. The game forces you to do something that feels almost impossible, and it's brilliant because it's not just the story making you feel, you're literally in it living that heartbreak. Brothers is the kind of game that, when it ends, you're just left there staring at the screen, trying to process what just happened. It doesn't just make you sad, it changes you a little. What Remains of Edith Finch?
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest.
What Remains of Edith Finch's? Honestly, it's like walking through someone's memories, like stepping into a scrapbook of lives lost and dreams cut short. You play as Edith, the last of the Finch family, returning to her old, bizarre family home to uncover the stories of her relatives. But it's not just about reading journal entries or letters. Each family member's story is its own unique experience, and somehow they find these clever, surreal ways to put you right into that character's shoes.
To eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
It's honestly unlike anything else out there. The game explores themes of death, family, and legacy in such a raw, almost haunting way. You dive into these beautifully tragic vignettes, each one different from the last, some playful, others just downright tragic. There's this one moment, without giving too much away, where you're controlling a character's fantasy world even as reality closes in around them, and it hits like a truck. It's this blend of wonder and sadness that makes you feel everything all at once. And the house itself, it's practically a character on its own. Wandering through its rooms, each one frozen in time, you can feel the weight of all these lives that came before Edith. By the end, when you finally learn the whole story, there's this overwhelming feeling of loss, but also a strange sense of peace. What Remains of Edith Finch doesn't just end, it lingers. It's a game that stays with you, and when it's over, there's this sadness that settles in like you've lost a family of your own.
Because of your stories, I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight.
A Plague Tale Requiem.
Festivities have begun. Let's pass through here. It'll be nice.
A Plague Tale Requiem pulls you into a world that feels both breathtaking and brutal. You're back with Amisha and Hugo, siblings trying to survive in a medieval France ravaged by the plague, but this time, everything feels darker, heavier.
Sophia, light the way for us! Everyone.
The stakes are higher, and the story isn't afraid to go to some truly heart-wrenching places. The bond between Amisha and Hugo, it's everything. You feel the weight of every sacrifice, every painful choice they're forced to make. And it's clear that this journey isn't about glory or adventure, it's about survival and holding on to each other through hell. The game world itself is hauntingly beautiful, with landscapes that feel alive, but also sick, broken by the endless waves of rats and disease. There's this constant tension as you navigate the ruins, hiding from enemies, and using every bit of wit and courage to protect Hugo. The gameplay blends seamlessly with the story, so every fight, every stealthy escape feels like another step in this desperate journey.
I was meant to win.
And man, the ending. It's like a punch to the gut. The game doesn't shy away from showing the toll that all this trauma has taken on the characters, especially Amisha. You're left with this mix of sorrow, admiration, and even anger at how cruel life can be. A Plague Tale Requiem isn't just a game, it's an experience that pulls you in, breaks your heart, and leaves you sitting in silence trying to process it all. It's one of those stories that makes saying goodbye feel almost impossible.
I love all these nice things you showed me.
I understand, but
Please, Amicia.
I'll try.
Life is
Don't
strange.
think I'm blind. I see everything here at Blackwell. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Life is Strange is, damn, it's one of those games that just messes with you emotionally. You play as Max Caulfield, a teenager who discovers she can rewind time. Sounds cool, right? But this game takes that concept and turns it into a deeply personal story about friendship, choice, and consequences. Max reconnects with her childhood friend Chloe, and together they start digging into the dark secrets of their hometown.
Now that is fun. Let's pump up the volume and find me another target. I want to get creative here.
It's the kind of story that feels grounded, real, and the supernatural twist somehow makes everything hit even harder. The choices you make in life is strange aren't just black and white, they're messy, morally gray, and no matter what, someone's going to get hurt. The game doesn't shy away from dealing with heavy topics like loss, trauma, and the harsh realities of growing up, and it makes you really care about these characters, to the point where every decision feels like it's ripping you apart inside. Max and Chloe's friendship is raw, flawed, and just beautifully real. They're two people fighting their own battles but finding strength in each other.
Oh shit, I can definitely use this bad boy. Score!
By the time you reach the end, the game hits you with this choice that feels almost impossible. It's one of those moments that leaves you staring at the screen, frozen, because neither option feels right. The weight of everything you've been through with these characters just comes crashing down, and it's heartbreaking. Life is Strange isn't just sad when it ends, it's the kind of game that leaves you in a daze, replaying moments in your head and wondering if you could have done things differently. It's an emotional ride that sticks with you long after the credits roll.
I loved her so much. How can she be dead?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
What could possibly go wrong?
Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those rare games that makes you feel like you're living in another world, and it's not just the sprawling landscapes or the insanely detailed environments. It's the story of Arthur Morgan, a rugged outlaw with a heart way deeper than he lets on. You start the game thinking it's just another Western adventure, but as you get to know Arthur, his gang, and his struggles, you realize it's so much more. It's a journey about redemption, loyalty, and the cost of the choices we make.
As long as we move fast. I reckon doing it in the day with a distraction.
The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 feels alive in a way that almost no other game manages to capture. From the smallest interactions with strangers to the bonds you build with your horse, everything feels like it matters, like you're part of something real. And Arthur? He's easily one of the most complex, tragic characters in gaming. You watch him wrestle with his past, question his loyalties, and try to figure out what kind of man he wants to be, all while knowing that the world around him is slowly closing in. The writing, the acting, hell, every detail just pulls you in deeper. And that ending? It's one of those rare times when a game doesn't just make you sad, it breaks you. Watching Arthur face his fate with this quiet, bittersweet dignity, you feel every ounce of his regret, his hope, his fear. Red Dead Redemption 2 leaves you with a hollow feeling, not because it's over, but because it's almost impossible to let go. It's like saying goodbye to an old friend, knowing you'll never have an experience quite like this again.
All this is over. I'll go pay her a call. And the boy. Whatever you say.
The Walking Dead Season 1 Telltale.
How did you handle getting through the city?
The Walking Dead Season 1 is one of those games that makes you question everything you thought you knew about video game storytelling. It's brutal, emotional, and at times downright heart-wrenching. You play as Lee Everett, a man with a past trying to survive a world turned upside down by a zombie apocalypse. But it's not the zombies that make this game so impactful, it's the connection you build with Clementine, a little girl you come to protect, almost like your own. The game is built around choices, and they aren't easy. Each one feels like it comes with a heavy cost, and Telltale doesn't hold back on making you live with the consequences. Every conversation, every decision, it all builds toward this unbreakable bond between Lee and Clem. You're not just making choices to survive, you're making choices to shape Clem, to prepare her for the brutal world around her. And through all the chaos, there are these quiet moments, these rare glimpses of hope and humanity that hit you like a punch to the gut.
They didn't hurt you, did they? Oh, man up! Lee, those psychos have my family.
And then, that ending. Damn, Telltale managed to craft one of the most devastating finales in gaming history. Watching Lee and Clem's final moments together, it's impossible not to get choked up. It's a rare kind of heartbreak, one that sticks with you long after you put down the controller. The Walking Dead Season 1 doesn't just make you sad. When it ends, it leaves you with this hollow feeling, this ache that stays with you. It's a story that truly understands loss, sacrifice, and what it means to care for someone when the world falls apart. Nier Automata.
Eliminate enemies in vicinity and restore access.
Nier Automata is one of those games that messes with your head and your heart. It's set in a world where humans are long gone and you play as androids 2B and 9S fighting a war against alien machines. But this isn't just a typical sci-fi story. The more you play, the more you realize it's a game that digs deep into questions about life purpose and what it means to be alive. It's not just about hacking and slashing through enemies, though the combat is fun as hell. It's the story that really gets you. You start to care about these androids and see their struggles, their pain, and their questions. By the time you're reaching the final endings, the game has put you through so much that you almost feel drained, but in a good way. You're left questioning everything you thought you knew, and it just sticks with you. The ending isn't sad in a straightforward way. It's more like this bittersweet feeling, like you just went through something way bigger than a game. Nier Automata makes you feel something real, something hard to shake off. It's a journey that leaves you thinking about it for days and maybe even longer. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
We share a round, won't be strangers anymore. Then we go our separate ways.
And which way might yours be?
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is just on another level when it comes to storytelling and world building. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter searching for his adopted daughter Ciri, but this journey is so much more than just tracking someone down. The game throws you into this gritty, complex world where every choice has consequences and nothing is ever truly black and white. What's amazing about The Witcher 3 is how alive the world feels. Villages have their own stories, characters have real personalities, and even the side quests are packed with emotional weight. You're not just slaying monsters and collecting loot, you're making tough choices, helping people, and sometimes just trying to survive in a world that feels as broken as it is beautiful.
Never expect to find a scholar. Take it you're fleeing the war?
And Geralt, he's a character with depth, tough, but caring, with a sarcastic charm that makes him unforgettable. Man, it hits hard. By the time you wrap up the story, you've been through so much with Geralt, Ciri, and everyone else that's saying goodbye is painful. Depending on your choices, the ending can be a triumph, a tragedy, or something in between, but each one feels earned. The Witcher 3 isn't just a game you finish, it's a world you live in, a story that stays with you. When it's over, there's this emptiness that only comes from leaving something truly special behind.
Come out.
I sense you.
Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is the kind of game that pulls you in and refuses to let go. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai fighting to protect his homeland from Mongol invaders. But this isn't just a story about honor and combat, it's a journey that forces Jin to question everything he was taught. It's about the sacrifices he has to make, and the internal struggle between being the honorable samurai his uncle raised him to be, and doing whatever it takes to save his people, even if it means breaking his code. The world of Tsushima is breathtaking. From golden fields to misty forests, every scene feels like a painting, and exploring it feels like meditating. But there's also this haunting beauty, a reminder of the destruction and loss that Jin is fighting against. The gameplay is fluid and satisfying, with sword fights that feel as intense as they look, but it's really the story that makes it unforgettable. The ending? It's powerful, leaving you with a choice that's heavy, emotional, and painfully real. You feel Jin's conflict, his love for his family, and his loyalty to his people all clashing in a way that feels personal. Ghost of Tsushima isn't just an action game, it's a story about identity, loyalty, and what you're willing to sacrifice. By the time the credits roll, you're left feeling that bittersweet sadness, knowing you've experienced something truly special that you're going to miss. Bioshock Infinite. Bioshock Infinite is one of those games that hooks you from the start and leaves you questioning everything by the end. You play as Booker DeWitt, a man with a mysterious past, sent to the floating city of Columbia to bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. But from the moment you step into Columbia, you realize this isn't just any city, it's a twisted, almost surreal place that feels perfect on the outside but is filled with secrets, corruption, and darkness. The story kicks into high gear when you meet Elizabeth, a girl with strange powers who's been kept in isolation her whole life. She's more than just a character, she's someone you grow to care about deeply. And together, you and Elizabeth unravel the mysteries of Columbia, and every new revelation hits like a punch. The game dives into themes of fate, choice, and identity, and it makes you question who Booker really is and what his journey is truly about. Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is one of those rare games that feels more like living a story than just playing one. Set in a near-future world where androids are treated as disposable, you follow the journeys of 3 androids, Connor, Marcus, and Kara, each struggling to find their own path in a society that refuses to see them as anything more than machines. It's a game that puts heavy choices in your hands, and every decision you make shapes their stories in ways that feel both thrilling and deeply personal.
What does it represent? It's enough.
The ending isn't just a single outcome, it's a culmination of every choice you made, and it can end in triumph, tragedy, or something in between. When it's over, Detroit leaves you with this heavy feeling, as if you've been part of something bigger. It's the kind of game that makes you reflect on humanity, empathy, and freedom, and it sticks with you long after. You don't just finish Detroit Become Human, you live it, and it's hard to say goodbye. Mafia Definitive Edition. Mafia Definitive Edition is like stepping into a classic mob film, but you're right in the middle of all the action. You play as Tommy Angelo, a humble cab driver who gets pulled into the world of organized crime in 1930s Lost Heaven.
So where to?
The story is gripping from the start, throwing you into a world of loyalty, betrayal, and danger where every decision feels like it could be your last. It's got that old school mob vibe that's intense, stylish, and loaded with drama. What makes Mafia special is how personal it feels. Tommy isn't a cold-blooded killer, he's just a guy trying to survive, trying to do right by the people he cares about, even if it means getting his hands dirty. The game does an amazing job of capturing the atmosphere of the era with smoky jazz clubs, vintage cars, and that gritty city backdrop that feels straight out of a noir movie. Every mission, every encounter builds on Tommy's story, taking you deeper into the crime family and showing you the cost of this life he's chosen. By the end, you're not just seeing the end of Tommy's story, you're feeling the weight of every choice he made, every sacrifice. The final moments are bittersweet, leaving you with this sense of loss and nostalgia for a world you know you can't go back to. Mafia Definitive Edition isn't just a story about crime, it's a story about family, loyalty, and the cost of ambition. And when it's over, it leaves you with that melancholy, like you just finished watching a classic tragedy.
I understand what you're going through. All the worrying over them, the fear that one of them's gonna go before you do. With this case, it'll be one of the biggest.
Yakuza 6. Yakuza 6 feels like the end of a journey with an old friend. You're back as Kazuma Kiryu, the Dragon of Dojima, but this time there's a sense of finality hanging over everything. Kiryu's been through hell and back, and in this game you can feel his age, his weariness, and his determination to finally find some peace. But of course, in true Yakuza style, peace isn't exactly easy to come by. What's different about Yakuza 6 is how personal it feels. It's not just about gang wars and brawling in the streets, it's about Kiryu's love for the people in his life, especially Haruka, who he's practically raised like a daughter. The game takes you to the small town of Onomichi, away from the neon lights of Kamurocho, and there's something almost refreshing about this quieter, more intimate setting. You meet locals, get caught up in their lives, and see Kiryu in a new light as he starts to realize that maybe there's more to life than the fight. The story hits hard, especially if you've followed Kiryu's journey through the series. He's this hardened, honorable man who's always fought to protect those he loves, and in Yakuza 6, that's pushed to the limit. By the time you reach the end, there's this bittersweet ache knowing this is his final chapter. It's an emotional ride that makes you feel like you're saying goodbye to an old friend, and it's tough to let go. Yakuza 6 doesn't just wrap up a story, it brings you to the heart of who Kiryu really is. It's a fitting, emotional end to his journey, and when it's over, you're left with that bittersweet sadness, like you've just closed a chapter on a character who's become more than just pixels on a screen. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus is one of those games that takes you on a journey that feels raw, haunting, and unforgettable. You play as Artyom, a survivor in post-apocalyptic Russia who spent most of his life in the dark tunnels of the Metro. But in Exodus, for the first time, you get to step out into the open world, if you can even call it that.
Yes, and there's also...
This world is harsh, broken, and filled with dangers lurking in every shadow, but it's also strangely beautiful, like finding a moment of calm in the middle of chaos. What makes Metro Exodus so powerful is how it combines survival with heart. You're scavenging for supplies, keeping your weapons in working order, and fighting for every inch of ground, but it's the people you're with that give this journey meaning. Artyom's companions, his wife Anna, and the makeshift family around him, these relationships feel real, grounded, and by the end, you feel this deep connection with them.
Are you trying to kill me with worry? What if next time you do?
Every choice you make, every person you save or lose, shapes how the story unfolds and makes the whole journey feel that much more personal. The ending is heavy. By the time you reach it, you've been through so much that it's hard not to feel a sense of loss, hope, and even peace all mixed together. Metro Exodus leaves you with a feeling that's hard to shake, like you've survived something big but left a part of yourself behind. It's a journey that lingers, one that makes saying goodbye almost painful.
I'm waiting for you. I want you to be there when you are here.